Well, I need to ask my usual question about how much value you place on the communities and our citizens' input. We have a pretty divided community, and you know, people on either side of land preservation and development, and so what kind of value do you place on that? We're about to embark on a community survey that's going to survey all sorts of opinion, so it seems that it fits in with your vision, but could you explain how that works?
Well, on the community engagement part, when you have part of the community, I mean, you had mentioned you have some folks that are favorable to development and others that are favorable to various forms of land or agricultural preservation. I would say that is exactly the situation that we had in Acme Township. Part of the community wanted development, part of the community wanted preservation. It was so contentious that there were, over a period of the last 12 years, 2 different recalls, okay, politically. When we got involved with the community, we had a series of, we did 2 things. We had 2 large community engagement sessions. Okay, we brought everybody together, broke them up into groups in order to identify priorities, okay? And these included people from, let's say, both camps. The one thing that we found and shared with them is that we may have somebody on one side of the barometer that says, I want to develop everything that I possibly can, and somebody on the other side that says, I want to preserve everything that I can. But in the middle, what we found and what they recognized is that both sides felt what they wanted to do was for the betterment of the community. And that was the foundation that we worked with on moving them forward. What resulted from that process was a consensus that development would be strategically focused at the 72 and US 31 corridors, very close to the waterfront, okay? They have not installed all of the utilities yet. Some of those areas do not have water and sewer, so the community agreed with expansion of infrastructure. But the agreement was that development would be localized into an appropriate growth and investment area in order to protect and preserve their agricultural farming values, okay? But the way that we got to that was by exploring those issues over and over again with the community. Now, what they did in addition to the engagement sessions was they did a community survey, which they did with our input, but was coordinated through the local college research division, okay? It took the bias out of the survey. Okay, it was written and it was mailed at random to about 500 households. It was statistically valid, 95% confidence rating, okay, 5% interval. Okay, so it was statistically valid, so the community could see where the values were at, and they used that survey to develop their master plan. Okay, they fell back on it when they were doing their goals and objectives. Okay. The one thing about when you have a community that's broken up, okay, that's not agreeing, is you've got to keep working with them and get them together to find areas of common ground. And that we refer to that as shared priorities. Now, in Acme Township, some people will tell you they didn't get everything that they wanted, but they got something out of it. Okay, they didn't get their full agenda, but they got part of their agenda. But everybody walked away with something that they could live with. Planning Commission and Township Board adopted it, and the community is moving on. Okay, so it's a long road. Healing a community that is divided into camps because of development is not an easy thing to resolve in the short term. It's going to take time, communication, transparency, and they're going to get tired of having to come back to the table to talk about what they feel their shared priorities are. So it's going to take some work.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then one quick one. Have you ever worked for Biltmore or Grand Saqua?
No, those private developers?
Yeah.
We only represent municipalities.
Okay.
We have very little experience, we have very little very few clients that were in the private sector. I would say one of our largest ones that's probably the most notable in this area is we worked with Domino's Farms on the master plan of their facility when they were
Okay.
working on the, you know, the Frank Lloyd Wright architecture. But we haven't done any, we don't represent or work with private development companies, because we really work with municipalities
Mhm.
as their representative.
Thank you very much.